If it were easy to save money, many people would have a lot more in the bank than they do now. Most people don't have enough money to cover an emergency, which is a sad fact. But if you don't have any short-term savings, you risk going into debt as soon as something comes up that you didn't plan for. Without long-term savings, you may have trouble paying your bills when you retire. Because of this, it is important to start saving as soon as possible. Here are 5 tips that will help you reach your goal. Number 1. Make a budget. If you don't know how much you spend on different things, it's hard to save money. Because of this, you need a budget. You're not alone if you've never kept a budget before. Most people don't have a personal budget, even though it is one of the easiest ways to keep track of your spending and reach your savings goals. One reason why so many people don't like budgeting is that it scares them to think about making one. But you don't have to know a lot about money to make a budget. Just write down all of your fixed and variable monthly costs, compare them to get your net income, and you'll know if you have enough money to save each month. Here are 6 easy ways to get started with your budget. Step 1. Write down all of your regular monthly costs. Many of us have the same bills to pay every month. Some examples of payments are rent or mortgage, car payments, cable bills, gym membership fees, and student loan payments. Start by making a list of these items and their costs on a spreadsheet. To find this information, all you have to do is look at your most recent bill or statement. Step 2. Write down all of your monthly expenses that can change. Budgeting for monthly expenses is harder because you can't just copy a single amount into a spreadsheet. To figure out how much your variable expenses cost, look at your credit card and bank statements to see how much you spent on each thing last year and take the average. Keep in mind that while you may spend about the same amount on groceries and gas each month, your utility costs, for example, may change a lot from one season to the next. It's possible that your monthly gas bill is $20 in the summer, but $200 in the winter when the heat is on. In these situations, the best you can do is figure out what the average cost is and go from there. Step 3. Think about one-time costs. Many of us have bills that come every month or every other month, like homeowners insurance or roadside assistance. If you forgot about these costs, they could throw off the rest of your budget. So look at your bank and credit card statements and make sure you have a place for all of them. To figure out how much to spend each month, divide each once-a-year cost by 12. Step 4. Take your total income and subtract your total costs. Once you know how much you spend each month, you can compare that number to how much money you bring home. If you spend more than you make, you've got a big problem on your hands. It's also not ideal if you're largely breaking even. In an ideal world, you should be able to pay all of your bills and save at least 10% of each paycheck. If this is not true, move on to the next step on our list. If not, move on to the last one. Step 5. Find ways to save money. If you spend so much money each month that you're barely getting by, or worse, going into debt, you need to look at your budget and figure out how to cut your spending. This could mean cutting back on a big expense, like your rent. It could also mean a series of small changes, like spending less on entertainment, cutting back on your TV subscription, or promising to buy less at the grocery store. It doesn't really matter which expenses you cut back on, as long as your goal is to save at least 10% of your income. Step 6. Check your budget twice every 3 months to make sure it's right. You shouldn't just set a budget and forget about it. Think of it as a work in progress instead. As your spending changes, you'll need to update your budget to reflect the new numbers. Number 2. Cut back on one expense. It makes sense that if you cut back on everything you pay for now, you could have a lot more money to save. But it's not healthy to deny yourself of all of life's pleasures. Instead, choose one thing to cut back on or get rid of and save the money you save. That one expense could be the cable plan you like, but don't always use, the takeout meals you like but could make it home for a fraction of the price, or the gym membership you use only a few times a month. It doesn't matter what you want to spend money on as long as you can save some of the money. Number 3. Set up an automatic way to save money. It's hard to spend money you don't know you have. Set up your bank account or retirement plan so that a certain amount of each paycheck goes straight into it. This will help you save more. Once, there was only one way to describe retirement. One day you quit your job, and the next day you start living a life of leisure. You don't plan to work again in your life. When you planned for your retirement date, you saved as much as you could for decades to make sure you'd have enough money to live comfortably in your golden years. People are getting better health and living longer. Professionals rarely do the hard physical work that forced older people to retire. Because of this, fewer people want to retire and do nothing but relax. Instead, retirees work part-time, start their own businesses, or switch gears to start a second-act career that uses their skills and experience in new and creative ways. As a result of these changes, there are now 3 different ways to retire. And everyone needs a different way to save for retirement. Let's give you an overview of regular retirement, semi-retirement, and temporary retirement, as well as how we can help you on whichever path you choose. Stay tuned. The old way of retiring. The traditional way to retire is just what it sounds like. Close the door to the office and don't look back. To do this, you need to start saving early and often. Invest for growth in a responsible way, and use Social Security payments as a safety net. The idea is simple. Save as much money as you can so that you can keep living the way you want to during a long retirement that could last for decades. Semi-retirement. People who choose semi-retirement often quit their jobs but keep working in some way afterward, usually with less hours and more freedom, so they can spend more time doing the things they enjoy. With semi-retirement, you can use your retirement savings for a long time, but only need a small nest egg. With more money coming in, you can either wait to take money out of your retirement savings or take less out until you can retire full-time. For example, making $20,000 a year in semi-retirement can cut your total retirement savings needs by a lot. Provisional retirement. Some people opt for mini-retirements. These short periods of free time are broken up by different jobs or second careers. For example, you could travel for a few months or a whole year before going back to work. This means that you have to plan your finances more carefully. When people only retire for a short time, their savings never grow as much as they could because they don't have as much time to save. On the other hand, retirement savings don't have as much time to grow and multiply because they aren't always being added to, and withdrawals start sooner. Number 4. Pay with cash. Credit cards are great for earning rewards points and getting some protection for the things you buy. The downside is that it's easy to spend more than you have because you're not handing over actual cash. You can also choose not to pay them in full if you can't. Because of this, it is best to pay cash for your purchases. This will make it easier for you to stick to your budget. And saving is more likely the less you spend. Number 5. Don't buy things on the spur of the moment. Most people do this in stores and online. On the other hand, avoiding them will let you save more money. So try setting a 24-hour rule for sudden purchases. The rule is simple. The next time you want to buy something unusual, not food or toiletries, but a new gadget or a piece of clothing you don't really need, make yourself wait 24 hours before doing so. Most of the time, you'll wake up and realize you don't need whatever it is. The money you would have spent on it can then be put in the bank. The more you save, the more protection you buy for yourself today and in the future. If you use these tips to save money, your bank account or retirement account should look a lot better in no time. That's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.